someone right now who you're like, I don't know the path, it feels unsure, it feels scary, that actually probably lets me know you're on the precipice of something that you're supposed to obey. Wow. When it feels like you're like, yikes, a lot of times that's because your spirit knows what's about to happen is going to change your life. So then what we do, sometimes we'll self-sabotage in that moment because what's comfortable, what's familiar is easier. Come on. So then we'll sit down, or we won't go to that interview, or we won't send that email, or we won't have that conversation because that's comfortable. To know what comes next is comfortable. What is frightening is when you're like, child. It's like an Avengers Endgame. Come on, because you're speaking the language. It's like an Avengers Endgame when they were like, when they asked Doctor Strange what's going to happen next. Oh. And he said to them, there's a lot of ways it might not go wrong. I mean, it might not go right, but there's one way that it will. You put that one thing. And that one. But here's the thing. That one possibility, they won. Right? We think about all the ways it might go wrong, but what if it actually goes right?
Hey family, what you just heard is truth. Raw, soul-cutting truth. Fear will have you sitting on gifts God placed in you. Fear will convince you to shrink when you were born to shine. And fear, when left unchecked, becomes a false prophet. It speaks over your life with lies about what you can't do, what you won't become, and why you're not enough. But check this out. Fear is not your enemy. It's your signal, your smoke detector. And today, we're not panicking when the alarm goes off. We're pausing, investigating, and deciding what to do next. Welcome back to the powerful series, The Power of Emotions, Take Back Your Power. Today, we're flipping the script on fear, and we're doing it with faith, fire, and a sound mind. Let's jump right into it.
Automatic redirection. Tired of being tested on the same lesson. Get the money, keep collecting. I expect the best and nothing less. I bet I get it. Automatic redirection. Tired of being tested on the same lesson. Get the money, keep collecting. I expect the best and nothing less. I bet I get it.
Hey family, what is going on? Welcome back to Mental Motivations. It is I, your host, Dominique Bishop, and we are jumping right back into the series, The Power of Emotions, Taking Back Your Power. In this particular episode, if you have not caught on yet by the intro video that I put up, we are going to be talking about fear. Okay, which is something that I'm sure all of us have dealt with at some point in our life, or we are currently dealing with it. We are evolving human beings, but there's always something that kind of holds us back. And when it comes to fear, fear can grip us and paralyze us. But yes, fear can grip us and paralyze us and cause us to miss out on a lot of opportunities and miss out on jumping, how can I say it? Acting on faith because of fear. Faith and fear cannot coincide together, because if you have fear, you don't have faith. If you have faith, that faith replaces your fear. So, as like what we've been doing with the other podcast episodes, we've already talked about anger and we've already talked about sadness. What I want to do is I want to reframe how you think of these emotions and how we can handle these emotions accurately. The emotions that we have teach us something about ourselves. All right. So with fear being the false prophet, we have fear because we are scared of something. We are scared of the unknown. We don't know what's going to happen. You have your anxiety, everything builds up because you're unaware, right? Or it could be something that happened to you in the past and now there's a trigger of some sort. For example, me, I will be honest with you all and say, yes, I do have I have a fear of water, not any type of water, more so like pools and large bodies of water. Why? I can't swim. And when I was younger, I had two instances where I almost drowned. And of course, those being very traumatic experiences for me, I have yet to overcome that fear of water. And it has held me back in some circumstances to where I couldn't fully enjoy myself the way I wanted to. I was always trying to make do. So like when my wife and I travel and go on vacation, she's a fish. She can swim and she loves being in the water. And it's funny because I love being around water. And I don't mind getting in the pools. I don't mind, going to the beach and getting in the water, but I'm not getting in the water so deep to where I have to fully rely on a flotation device. Like if my feet can't touch the bottom of the pool, we have a problem. If I start going into the ocean, or I'm at the beach and I start going in too deep and I start feeling that sand slipping from underneath me and a wave come in and no, uh-uh. That can't happen to me. I'm not gonna be feet up. I need to be able to stand up and walk away. That's my thing. So I love being around water because it's so comforting to me. Growing up in Chicago, we always had the lake. We always could go to the beach, or we always went to pools and things like that. So water for me is so relaxing, having grown up in a city where we are actually surrounded by a lot of water. Um, but now being down here, landlocked in Georgia, uh, the closest beach to me is in Savannah. But outside of that, my wife and I love to travel, and I pray, and I do have faith in myself that I will one day conquer this fear. But it is an ongoing process. I have made some progression, and I've become more trusting with myself in the water. um, I can now use flotation devices and feel comfortable using flotation devices. When we went to, I want to say, what was that? Oh no, it was Cancun. We went to Cancun a couple years ago. We got in I forgot what a cenote. We were in the cenote in the water. Now I didn't go and jump off the ledge like everybody else did. I didn't zip line down a ledge and fall in the water. I didn't do that. I wasn't comfortable enough for that. But the instructor came and got me. I had on my life vest, and he put me in a around a donut flotation device, and I was able to just hang in there, and my feet were just swinging. So that felt good. That was a big deal for me, right? So that was one step getting over my fear of water. So I'm in a progress. So when we're talking about fear, I'm right there with you. I'm working on conquering fear of the unknown. That used to be something that was also really big for me. But in the point that I am in my life now, the fear of the unknown is not really a fear for me anymore because I have the boldness to charge forward. And I've been doing that little bit by little bit by little bit to where my faith has taken over more so than fear ever could. All right, so let's get into this because I want you all to, um, I'm not going to say necessarily get over your fear, but I want you all to know how to utilize fear as fuel more so than allowing it to set you back and paralyze you from moving forward. Right? So here we go. The power of emotions. Take back your power. We are talking about fear today. The false prophet. First and foremost, what is fear? I'm pretty sure you've heard this acronym before, but FEAR, false evidence appearing real. That's what a lot of people say. Fear is false evidence appearing real. um, and I love the fact that this title is the false prophet because fear is false evidence appearing real, right? Um, with fear, with diving into fear, which we know is the emotion that often paralyzes purpose and it magnifies lies. That's where anxiety and things like that come in, right? Because you're thinking about so many different outcomes and you're thinking about everything that could happen, but none of that hasn't happened yet. And I can relate that back to my fear of, of drowning or getting in the water, because I had something that happened to me before. When I get into water, I'm so unsure of myself, um, that even though it was something that happened to me with a kid, it paralyzes me when I get in the water, to the point where at one point I could not be comfortable around water, right? So the anxiety would kick in. If the water would start to rise and get to my neck, I would freak out and be like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I got to get out of the water, right? Or if I'm in a pool and someone's like, hey, well, why don't you walk across the pool? I'm like, no, because I, I can't hold on to nothing. If I'm out there in the middle of the pool and I slip, there's nothing I can grab onto. So I don't feel comfortable doing that. But it's like, what really is the fear? Yes, I almost drowned twice, but that was well over 30, maybe 25, 30 years ago when that happened. And now my fear is based on my past, but it's also me thinking about different things that could possibly happen to me again. So that's the thing about anxiety. It could be stemming from something, from a past traumatic experience, or it could also be you thinking of all of the multiple possibilities of what could go wrong. Either or. So that is where the fear have to. I'm sorry, I keep clearing my throat, but I'm getting over something, as you can tell. But that is where some of the fear, a lot of different fears, come from. But we need to look at that fear because it's telling us something about ourselves. One thing about fear is that it is a loud voice. Fear has an extremely loud voice, and I'm pretty sure you've experienced it. But the thing about fear is that that voice is not a faithful one. It's going to lie to you. Fear is false evidence appearing real. So there is a lie in there somewhere, right? When you start speaking to yourself in a negative. So most of the time, fear is not a warning, but it's a wall. And today is what we're going to do. We're going to work on breaking down that wall. All right. So what are some of the root emotions and things that happen, why we have fear? All right. So the root is that we perceive danger. There could have been some trauma that has happened, like I just explained earlier with my own personal experience. There is uncertainty, not knowing what's going to happen. There could also be shame. I'm fearful because of judgment, or what somebody might say, or what a community might say about something that I do. And then also abandonment. If I do this thing, are they still going to love me? If I do this thing, will they leave me? So you have different versions of how fear can come about. Again, you have perceived danger. There is a present threat. Then you have trauma, something that has happened. Uncertainty, something that has not happened. You're not certain of what is going to happen. Shame, if I do this, are they going to like me anymore? Will I be put to shame for my actions or my thoughts or my words? And then abandonment. If I do this or don't do this, will this person or will this community turn away from me? Some of the related Emotions or feelings that we have are, of course, anxiety, which is some we've already stated, dread, panic, worry, and insecurity. A lot of the fears that we have, I believe, me personally, that they do stem from a lot of insecurity, not being secure in ourselves, right? Let's think of this small example. Thinking of getting a presentation ready for work or school, and you have to present it to the class or you have to present it to your coworkers, but you don't get the opportunity to um, fully throw yourself into the work. Let's say me, for example, I am a researcher. If I'm going to talk about something, I want to be well versed in it before I present it. So insecurity for me would step in, or fear would set in if I get before an audience and I have no idea what I'm talking about. Like, what? Like, you want me to speak on what? Oh, I don't know nothing about that. You know? So again, going back to that boardroom or going back to school, you haven't prepared yourself for the moment, but yet and still you have to get in front of these people, in front of your classmates or in front of the boardroom and talk about a particular subject, but you're not fully prepared. So now, of course, there's going to be some insecurity there, um, because there's going to be not just insecurity, but there's always also going to be some panic and some worry. Am I going to appear that I don't know what I'm talking about? Because I really don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not versed in what it is I was supposed to present. So I got to put something together. Hopefully they'll be okay with what I give them. So I could understand that, because like we said, I like to be versed on things that I'm talking about when I'm talking to someone or explaining something. This series, for example, I've been doing research. I've been doing reading. I have been looking up some things. I have been watching YouTube videos. I have been doing things to put this together so that when I come to you all and talk to you about these emotions and how to handle them and how to deal with them, I'm not just talking from off the top of my head. I'm talking because I've done some research and I've read some things. So I feel very confident in what I'm saying to you because I am very well versed, or I feel that I am very well versed in these subjects. I'm not gonna come to y'all and talk to y'all about just any old thing, and I have not gotten myself together. I have not done my research. Okay, so understand that about me. Okay. Um, one of the power frames, or the power frame for fear, would be: fear is not a prophecy, it's a signal. It can either be a cage or a compass, and the difference lies in how you respond to fear. So, right now, for me, I always use me as an example. Um, the whole thing with the fear of water. Right now, it's a cage for me. I will be honest, it's a cage for me. It's not something that I have completely overcome. I'm doing little things step by step to where now I'm comfortable with flotation devices, um, and floating in the water. Excuse me, floating in the water some, um, but just jump into the water even with a flotation device on, low key, I'm not ready to jump into water yet. So my whole little fear of water, right now, that's a cage for me, and that's something that I have to break out of. So it's not my compass just yet in that area. But in other areas of my life, I will use fear as a compass. All right, what is it about this that scares me? Is it because I'm uncertain about something, or is it because I don't know about something? Okay, if I don't know about it, then let me do some research on it so I can know about it. So I can know more about it, right? And then that relieves a lot of the worry, the panic, and the insecurity. Okay, so again, fear is not a prophecy, it's a signal. It can either be a cage or a compass, and the difference lies in how you respond to it. You know, we got scriptures, right? So where we coming from? We coming from 2 Timothy 1, verse 7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Again, God has not given us the spirit. God has not given you or me the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So if fear didn't come from God, it's not meant to be governed by you. And that's something. If fear did not come from God, because 2 Timothy 1:7 says, for God has not given us. God has not given us the spirit of fear. So where is the fear coming from? If this is one of the emotions that God has not given us, where is it coming from then? The adversary, right? And not even just that, but coming from our own insecurities, coming from our own thoughts and negative mindsets that we have in our head. Because God has not given us a spirit of fear. We place the spirit of fear on ourselves. Okay? So, seeing as how God has not given us a spirit of fear, that means it is not meant for us to govern it. It is not meant for us to take it on as our own. That's why we're talking about this, because we need to release this fear. We need to get rid of these fears. I need to get rid of the fear of water. It is holding me back from enjoying my vacations to the fullest extent. I always enjoy my vacations, but not being able to get in the water and do certain water sports. I want to do that, right? Eventually, one day I will. I believe in myself that I will. But right now, it is a cage. So it is something that I am governing myself. Yet and still, God has not given me that spirit of fear. So that's something I need to work on and I need to get rid of. Okay. Same for you. The other scripture is coming from Isaiah 41:10. Do not fear, for I am with you. I will strengthen you and help you. Fear loses power in the presence of divine assurance. So, you mean to telling me because I have a fear of water, first and foremost, that means I'm not wholly believing in God about taking this fear away from me. I'm allowing the fear to overtake more so than the faith. Um, and I'm allowing the fear to have more power over me than God's divine assurance. So when you think about your different fears and you think about what's going on, we have to allow God to come in and take the fear away. We have to allow that divine assurance to come in. How do we allow that to happen? By having faith, by exercising our faith, right? So what does Dominique need to be doing? Dominique needs to be taking some swimming classes. Dominique needs to go to the pool maybe once a week or maybe once a month. Get with an instructor. Start playing around in the pool at the community center, right? So I need to start exercising my faith. Faith is just like faith is a muscle, right? When you work out, in order for your muscles to get bigger or stronger, you have to work them out. There needs to be some type of resistance. whether it's your body weight resistance and you're just doing push-ups or just pull-ups, or whether it's weight resistance, you're bench pressing, or you're lifting weights, you're pulling down weights, you're doing all of this, you're doing different stuff. There needs to be some sort of resistance in order for you to get stronger. So, in order for us to overcome fear, right? Because fear honestly is the resistance. It's keeping us back. But the more we exercise our faith, and the more we keep pushing, the more we keep pushing, the more we keep pushing, the more we keep working out, our faith is going to get stronger to the point where our faith will outweigh our fear. That's what we're working on. All right. We want to reframe fear. We're going to reframe fear not as failure or weakness, but as a call to recenter and trust. So when we're faced with this fear and we're like, okay, what is this? Where is this coming from? Right? We're asking ourselves questions about these emotions. Why am I angry? Why am I sad? Why am I fearful? How did I get here? Understood? We're asking our questions about these emotions in order for us to understand them better. It's not just the fact that I just have a fear of water. I actually had a traumatic experience, but it's up to me to work through and work past that traumatic experience of something that happened to me over 25 years ago. It's up to you to work through that traumatic experience. It's up to you to work through that fear of the unknown. It's up to you to work through those insecurities, to break past the fear and to get to the divine purpose that you need to get to. So again, your scriptures are going to be 2 Timothy 1:7. For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And Isaiah 41:10. Do not fear, for I am with you. I will strengthen you and help you. God is good. So let's talk about fear in the body. Real quick, I want you to think of fear as a smoke detector. When it goes off, the noise is very intense and alarming, right? But it's not the fire itself. The smoke detector is a signal for you to investigate where the problem might be. I actually just had my smoke detector went off. I want to say it was not this past weekend, last weekend. I'm sitting in the house downstairs, and I had just got my golf club. Because I started golfing lessons. I just got my golf club. I went and got a used one, and I went and got something to clean it with. And the piece that I got, it scrubs up against the iron, and it takes rust off, and it cleans it, and it shines it at the same time. So I'm there just scrubbing, and not thinking that the friction was going to cause some type of reaction. And lo and behold, I'm sitting there in the house, just me and the dogs, and the smoke detector goes off. And first thing I do is I don't necessarily panic because there was no fire, but I needed to check. I'm running through the whole house. I look outside in the backyard. I look in my garage, nothing. I'm touching doorknobs, make sure nothing's hot. I go in every room in my house. I don't see anything. I don't smell any smoke. I don't see any smoke. The alarm people called me. Hey, is everything all right? Is this a false alarm? I said, hey, I checked the whole house. Everything's fine. Cool. But then I realized, it dawned on me. I said, for me, scrubbing that iron, that friction sit there, because I was sitting right under the smoke detector. So that thing is sensitive. Thank God for that. But fear is like a smoke detector. It's a signal letting you know that something's wrong and that you need to investigate what the problem is. So that's how I want us to think about fear now. Think of fear as a signal. Hey, something's going on. Something's going on here, and we need to investigate it. Why are we fearful about this situation? All right. So again, we're looking at what the problem might be. Too often, just like when an alarm goes off, we panic, right? As soon as fear activates, and instead of pausing to check where the fear is coming from and what it's trying to protect, we just panic. We just panic. Like me, when I'm in the water and the water starts to get a little bit too high, or I start to feel a little unsafe, I'm like, okay, all right, okay, I gotta go. I gotta move. I gotta get closer to the wall, or my feet shifting a little bit too much. I gotta go back. I gotta walk back. All right. Panic starts to set in, and I'm like, okay, I start getting irrational, and it's like I gotta go. That's how it is with fear. When fear starts to set in and panic starts to set in, and you're not thinking rationally, you're not thinking, okay, calm down. What's the problem? What do I need to fix? What do I need to solve? You're not thinking about that. You're like, I just need to go. I just need to get out of here. So too often we panic as soon as fear activates. Like I just said, instead of pausing to check where the fear is coming from and what it's trying to protect. So fear doesn't necessarily mean stop. It means look deeper. So fear is not a stop sign. Again, fear is that smoke detector, that alarm going off that's telling you you need to investigate and figure out what's going on. Fear, some physical symptoms of fear, of course, are a rapid heartbeat, shallow breathing, muscle tension, stomach discomfort. It could be a lot of different things. Your hands might sweat or what have you. I know for me, when I get panicky, I have the shallow breath thing. You see a lot of people who go through anxiety attacks, and their heartbeat starts to race, and they're breathing very shallow, and they can't catch their breath. You got to hand them a brown paper bag and help them calm their breathing down. Or one thing that I do is, if I'm with someone who's having a panic attack, I get them to focus on me. And I do this thing, a touching mechanism, where I put the hand on my heart, and if they allow me, I put my hand on theirs or place it on top of mine. And I breathe in and out, in and out. Have them look at me, and I'm looking at them, and just talking to them calmly, bring them down. Somebody had to do that to me once, so that's how I know it works. And I ask other people, you feeling better? Is that working? Yes, that works. Okay, I can breathe now. Because when you become panicky and you have this anxiety and you start to get irrational, it's that alarm is just going off, and you're just all over the place. But again, the alarm is to signify that we need to investigate, not to panic, but to investigate. Fear triggers the amygdala. That's where we get our fight, flight, or freeze response. Okay? Spiritually, fear distorts perception and disconnects us from faith. We talked about a second ago. Faith and fear cannot coexist. Fear thrives in the unknown, but faith thrives in the unseen. Fear doesn't always mean stop, but what it does mean is to stretch. There's something about you that has to change. What is it that needs to change? What is it that needs to be removed, or what is it that needs to be added in order for you to stretch yourself and to become stronger in your faith, to get rid of this fear. That's what we're working on. All right. Now, what are some things um, that are paralyzing to us? Because we do know and understand that fear can be very paralyzing. That's that fight or freeze response, right? Some people, when they get scared, they freeze and they don't know what to do. Can't talk, can't blink, can't swallow, can't move, just can't. They just can't because it's too much for them, for their bodies to handle. So fear becomes paralyzing when you delay decisions out of what ifs. I used to be that person. It was always what if this, what if that, what about this, what about that. When I was getting ready to start my podcast last year, I was doing so much extra research. Okay, well, what if I do this? Or what if I do this, but then this don't work out? Or what if, and then it got to the point where it's like, well, I mean, come on now, just do it. Told you, my wife was like, girl, just start. You got a cell phone. Just start. And that's sometimes what we have to do. We have to just take that first step. Um, Fear becomes paralyzing also when you shrink from opportunities. You're scared because you don't know what could happen, or you're afraid of the success that comes with it. Sometimes people aren't afraid of what's not going to happen. Sometimes people are actually fearful of success. Am I fully capable of acquiring this achievement? And that's a little bit of insecurity, and that's something that we got to work on, because you are worthy. If you've gotten to that point in your life, you are worthy. You're not there for no reason. You're worthy of that success. So let's not shy away from these opportunities. Fear becomes paralyzing when you avoid risk, relationships, or responsibilities. So, in order to be a God fearing, faith based individual, you're going to have to do some crazy things. You're going to have to. Because having faith don't always look right to those who are sane. Sometimes faith looks irrational, right? But that's okay, because having faith is much more powerful than being fearful. Again, faith and fear cannot coexist. There's always going to be one or the other. Which one would you rather be? Would you rather it be fear that stagnates you? Or would you rather it be faith that pushes you forward? So, what are some healthy expressions of fear? Okay, so again, remember the fear is also that alarm that's telling you to investigate something, to figure out what's going on. So, acknowledge it out loud by saying, I'm afraid, but I'm still moving. I was watching a kids movie. I don't remember which one it was. I'm not going to even begin to pretend like I remember. But the kid was asking about courage. Was asking about, was saying, aren't you scared? Aren't you afraid? And he was like, yeah, I am. And even though he said, yeah, he was scared and he was fearful, he was teaching a child that even though you're fearful, you still have to make the moves. And that is called bravery. That is called courage. Courage is still doing the thing, but being scared to do it. And by the time you start doing the thing, the fear is gone, because now you started doing the thing and you're doing the thing. And as you're doing it, your faith increases. It's just like that working out. You're working out that faith muscle. You were scared, very scared in the beginning to pick up that weight. because you didn't know if you could handle it. But the more you work out, the more you get it in, the stronger you become, the stronger your faith becomes. And it's easier for you to navigate and easier for you to move. So let's get there. Another healthy expression of fear is break it down. What am I actually afraid of? What's the worst that could happen? Honestly, the worst that I feel could always happen for me is that God called me home. That's what I feel the worst outcome could be. And it's funny, I have that way. I think about that because I do like to do a lot of adventurous things. I do like to um like I want to go parasailing. I haven't done parasailing yet, which I want to do it. I want to go bungee jumping. I haven't done that yet. But I'd like to do certain things like that. What was that we did when we were out of town? Um, I love to go zip lining. I'm good with zip lining over land. I could do that. And I was doing it all different type of ways. They had us hanging upside down. They had us hanging, laying flat on our stomachs. I mean, I don't have any problem doing that. I like, but when it comes to water, it's like I freak out. So for me, the worst that could happen has always been, well, if it's my time to go, it's my time to go. But I'm gonna enjoy myself while I'm here. And I know you probably like, well, maybe you should have that same instance when you get in the water. I'm working on it. Okay, I'm working on it. Um, but that's how I look at things sometimes. Hey, if it's my time to go, it's my time to go. And if it's gonna be this way, then I guess that's how God ordained it. But if I make it to the other end of that zip line and I'm still here, well, I just had myself a good time. And I think that's how we should think about things sometimes. Hey, if I make it to the other side, well, I had myself a good time. If it's not meant for me to make it to the other side, well, my paperwork's in order. I'm coming home, Jesus. God forbid. But that's one way to think about it. Another healthy expression of fear is grounding yourself with breath work, prayer, and truth. I love breath work. And I have a grounding exercise as well in just a second. Another healthy expression of fear is use fear as a checkpoint and not a stop sign. Right? It's that alarm going off again. It's time to investigate. What are we investigating? So let's go ahead and do a quick grounding exercise. And as we inhale, we're going to say, God is with me. As we exhale, we're going to say, fear does not define me. And let's do it 3 times. So inhale, God is with me. Exhale, fear does not define me. Inhale, God is with me. Exhale, fear does not define me. Last time, inhale, God is with me. Exhale, fear does not define me. All right, hold on to that. That's another exercise that you can do. Now, I told y'all about a fear that I'm yet working on overcoming, which is the whole fear of water and, not drowning and all of that. But I'm going to tell you a story about another fear that I actually conquered. And I conquered this one in high school. And it was the fear of speaking in front of people, right? This is before I was ordained. So like I said, I was in high school. I think I started taking speech class in, I want to say, sophomore year or junior year of high school. And of course, the speech class, they're going to make you get up in front. And yeah, I've had school presentations and stuff before and all of that. But I, I still had a fear of speaking in front of people. Growing up in the church, I had to do all those little speeches and stuff growing up. Hated doing it. Used to do affirmations on Sundays. I did it because I was asked to do it. It's not like I always wanted to. Because again, I had that fear of stumbling over my words or what have you. But the more I began to do it, and I remember my speech teacher, she would talk to us and she would coach us, and she would encourage us and rally us. And by the time I finished that speech class, I was more confident in speaking in front of people, to the point where now, I mean, look at me. I have my own podcast now, Um, excuse me. I have no problem speaking in front of complete strangers. I have no problem speaking at all. I actually like talking. Can you tell? I like talking. And I love spreading knowledge, because I love learning things. So I have no, I might be a little tinge of something, but that's just, making sure I'm prepared, making sure everything is set and in order, and making sure I have my concepts of what I want to speak about. But I love speaking in front of people. Me being ordained at 19 and speaking to different churches, I love doing that. Me being an associate pastor at another church in Chicago I was at before I left, and moved to Mississippi, I loved doing that. Me speaking, at work in front of people, I loved it. I mean, I love talking in front of people. So it's not a fear for me anymore. People are like, you don't be scared to do and talk. And no, I don't. Like, this is actually a very comfortable position for me. I know there are some people who are terrified of speaking in front of people in public places, but I don't have that. If you, and also working in law enforcement and working in corrections, you could have no fear of speaking in front of people. Like, you had to give commands to inmates. I had to talk to people. You know what I mean? So a lot of that has led me up to this point, to where now I'm just so comfortable to talk in front of people. I don't care who it is. This is what I do. This is what I do. So that is one major fear that I got over, and I'm grateful for that, because look at where I'm at right now. Again, it is going back to that example of working out. The more I kept doing it, the more confident I became at it. I was placed in a lot of situations where I had to speak in front of people. Being a minister, I had to speak to people. I had to speak from pulpits. I had to speak from the front of an auditorium. Everyone's looking at me, right? Being in law enforcement and corrections, I have to speak to people, and I have to have a commanding presence. I have to make my voice known, right? To even now, where I'm doing a podcast and I'm speaking to you all who are going to watch this. May not be a live audience, but it's an audience nonetheless. So I worked on that muscle, and now that muscle is pretty strong. All right, so we're getting ready to close, and this challenge for fear, what I want you to do is name your fear. It could be one, could be many. I want you to sit down and name them. I want you to write them down. I want you to see what you're dealing with, because it's one thing to keep them in here and keep them in our subconscious, but it's another thing when we're writing this stuff down and we're actually faced to look at it face to face. So I want you to name your fear, and I want you to face it, and I want you to take one small step in the opposite direction. What's the opposite direction of fear? Faith. All right. So while I'm telling you to do this, I'm gonna do it as well. I'm gonna figure something out. Okay, I'm gonna figure something out. I'm gonna find me a swimming class or something, and I'm gonna try to get some stuff started. so I can go ahead and get rid of this fear. I'm 40. I got to get rid of this fear of water. Okay, I'm trying to have my fun in the water, and I want to go swim with some dolphins, and I want to do all of that. Okay, but I got to get rid of this fear of water. So as you work on yours, I'm gonna work on mine too. And if any other fears that I have, I'm gonna work on those as well. We're gonna build these faith muscles, and we're gonna get strong. Okay, so again, I want you to name your fear or fears. I want you to face it or them and take one small step in the opposite direction, which is having faith. Meditate on the scripture, 2 Timothy 1:7. Power, love, and a sound mind. Okay. The other scripture was Isaiah 41. Do not fear, for I am with you. I will strengthen you and help you. All right. So remember in 2 Timothy, he says, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of course, power, love, and a sound mind. Your affirmation for this week is going to be fear is not my identity. I walk in power, in love, and in divine clarity. My steps are ordered, and I will not be moved by fear. Fear is not my identity. I walk in power, in love, and in divine clarity. My steps are ordered, and I will not be moved by fear. One more time. Fear is not my identity. I walk in power, in love, and in divine clarity. My steps are ordered, and I will not be moved by fear. So, as we close out, fear only wins when you surrender your voice, when you surrender your faith, and when you surrender your forward motion, or when you stop, or when you are not willing to move further anymore. Remember what courage and bravery are. It's being scared, but still doing the thing. Have that faith, family. Have that faith. Let's move forward in faith and not be stagnated by fear. And when that fear alarm goes off, remember to investigate what it is that needs to be fixed. Let's get down to the root of the problem. Replace that fear with faith. Because again, they cannot coexist. You got to have one or the other. Let's build our faith muscles. Let's get strong. I love y'all so much. And remember, your crown may be tilted, but never, ever let it fall. Peace and love.